Exploration in Starfield is fundamentally different from how it was done in prior Bethesda titles. With prior Bethesda titles, exploration was done in a way that the player was the pursuer of exploration, but in Starfield it's the opposite. The game is pursuing you to explore, and in this way it is important for you to be picking out the proper settings that you want to explore in. And in this video coming up, I am going to show you 3 landings that I did and why I chose these landing sites and how I allowed myself to be pulled into the world to enjoy. The first landing site that I did choose was on Kang 8A. I had a lot of past photos from there that were very pretty and beautiful, so I wished to set down there in a pretty and beautiful environment and go ahead and explore. And part of this is having an environment that is aesthetically pleasing does make the exploration a lot easier within this game. And now that version of beauty is going to differ from person to person. What I find beautiful is not going to be the same as the next person.
Hey stranger, got some work for you if you're interested. There's a ruthless spacer with a sizable bounty on their heads holed up near here. I could use someone watching my back. Help me out and half the bounty is yours. Excellent. Let's meet up at these coordinates and take them by surprise.
And this is what I'm talking about. If you're in a beautiful environment, it's much easier to allow yourself to be pulled into that environment and enjoy it. Travel becomes better in an environment that is just aesthetically pleasing. So this is one of the things that is going to make exploration substantially better for you is choosing where you go to explore. And because the procedural generation will present you with the points of interest, kind of regardless of where you go, you might as well explore in environments that you find aesthetically pleasing to yourself. It'll make the experience a lot better and a lot easier. So up ahead, I'm going to come up to a point of interest. I've already done this point of interest several times. So I'm going to do it in a little bit different and haphazard manner than I normally do it in. And basically why I'm doing this is I'm trying to have fun in something that I've already done before. Which is fine. I think these points of interest do have a replay value. Because I've done this point of interest before, I knew I could enter through the back door to the point of interest and just shoot the main bad guy in the head and leave and didn't have to clear the entire point of interest. Majority of these points of interest do have multiple ways of approaching them. And this is why they do have replay value. They were made and intended to be played multiple times. I did cut out the interior because I didn't wish to ruin any lore or storyline which might be ascertained from that. So this whole video series is about helping the player enjoy themselves in Starfield and not about going into the lore or storyline. So I'm trying to not have anything that might ruin anything for you.
I'll take care of getting this bounty processed. Hope to see you around.
And then from the end of there, I saw another point of interest, and it was off on the horizon, and it had this beautiful backdrop of the planet above it, with the rings kind of touching down onto the point of interest itself, and I kind of wished to pursue that and see it. Now, I do cut off the point of interest because I didn't really wish to ruin anything for you. There is some storyline involved here. Long story short, I just killed all the robots here. And then from there, I looked around. There was not much more that interested me within the tile, so I went ahead and I flew to another place. And the main intent was to capture this photo you're seeing right there. So that was the main intent of going to the second location. I consider it successful. I think this was a wonderful photo to capture. But after that, I'm going to land at this planet, and this is why it is important to allow yourself to be pulled into the environment. Is there are environmental events that are occurring all around you. Some of them are people just wandering about on the planet. Others are landings that are going to be occurring right and left, and you can interact with them in different ways. So as you can hear in the background sound, we can hear a planet or a spaceship landing, and I'm going to go ahead and check it out, which is something I normally do. I check them all out. Now, a lot of landings I will just ignore because I don't want the ship. There's nothing of value for it. It's interesting that it happens, but here is a little bit different. Here, I immediately recognize what this ship is. This is a Freestar Collective Vista 3, which is a very good ship. I was completely pulled into the environment the moment I saw that ship land. The next thing I wanted to do was go ahead and steal this ship. This is a wonderful ship to have. So this is also a wonderful example of how you move fast through the environment. So I'm using consumables and I'm kind of skipping across the surface to basically keep myself sprinting at all times and at an increased movement speed. I'm sorry, my friend. This must be done.
Something hit me. It's strange that it seemed to come from your direction.
Maybe if you didn't walk over the area of effect damage, you wouldn't be getting hit by me. But if you do land on a planet and see this ship land, there's actually different ways of pursuing this. Right now, I am just stealing the ship entirely, but if you actually come onto this ship and speak to the captain in a non-hostile environment, he will, in fact, give you a quest. So there is a lot of opportunity where the game is trying to pull you into exploration and adventure. And you have to allow them to do that. And you can pursue it in different ways. Instead of taking the quest, which I've done several times, I'm doing it in a very different manner here. I am taking the ship instead. And if you did not know how to take ships that do land on the surface of planets, this is an excellent example of how you do it. You proceed to the door of the ship as fast as you possibly can, because sometimes it'll take off shortly after. If it's inaccessible, it's inaccessible, you can't take the ship. But if it's accessible, you can go onto the ship itself, kill the crew. Once the crew is dead, at that point in time, all you need to do is just sit in the captain's chair, and then you'll press, on the Xbox it's the Y button, I'm not sure what it is on the PC. You take off into orbit, and then from there go hit your grav drive, and the ship will be added to your inventory. And once we take off here, we're ending the adventure on the second landing site. This was a very short, sweet, and enjoyable experience. I did manage to get a wonderful ship in the Vista 3. It is probably one of the best ships you can steal in-game. I'm going to go ahead and modify this ship, but this is going to bring us to our third landing. At this point in time, I'm kind of tired of the barren moons with the beautiful vistas, and I am going to be hankering for a little bit of more environmental interaction. So I'm going to be picking a planet that has aliens on it. So the third landing site is going to be Higgins 7b. Now this is a planet or a moon that's orbiting a gas giant. It has a lot of unusual life on it floating in the clouds above. And as we can see, it does have some nice sights with that red gas giant. And we do have these weird creatures that float above the sky itself. Now, how I am allowing myself to be pulled into the environment here is I recognize that there was a point of interest on my scanner that I have never been to before. So I am going to go ahead and head to that point of interest, and I'm going to allow it to pull me into an adventure. But as we can see, we have these weird aliens floating in the sky above me. And they seem to be interacting with each other as well. As we can see, there are several there beating on another creature as well. I'm going to go ahead and shoot them all. And we do have that wonderful vista behind me, which makes this experience so much better. And I think this is where people should be focusing their explorations. They should be focusing on exploring where the game is aesthetically pleasing to them. And it's going to differ from person to person. I do know most people love the gas giants like I do. So I love exploring the moons of the gas giants, and I love positioning that gas giant in the sky above me so I can see it in the backdrop when I play. And it makes all the difference. So as I approach this point of interest I've never seen before. It's a military encampment. Do notice there are some robots. I get stuck on the rocks here. We have these weird, unusual robots sitting here. Look. I have no clue why all these UC Marines become hostile, but this is a rather challenging and difficult fight that I'm going to face up ahead. In summary, I am going to say that the setting in which you pick to explore is more important than the completeness of your exploration. Whereas in prior titles you were looking in every nook and cranny, here the points of interest are being presented to you regardless of where you go, so you might as well go to places you want to be. So that might be on an icy moon that is overlooking a gas giant. That might be where it's at for you. Or it might be in a tropical forest that is filled with tons of creatures that want to kill you. It depends upon the player. So ultimately, you need to figure out which environments that you feel best fit your gameplay. Some people, it's going to be that tropical jungle. Some people, it's going to be like me, who don't care too much about like the vast landscapes to cover to get to the point of interest. I find that actually enjoyable, especially if you pick a setting where it's aesthetically pleasing to be traveling in. And because of this, and because of how the procedural generation works, if you just explore in environments that you want to explore in, the procedural generation is going to present you with those points of interest. You'll see them. They'll come up. And if you're bored, just pick a new landing spot. Allow the game to re-roll those points of interest for you.